Al Roker. By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Trustees of Champlain College, I am pleased to confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Humane Letters, honoris causa, on this 13th day of May, 2017.
Wow. President Lockman and ladies and gentlemen, honored guests, graduates of 2017, family, friends, thank you so much for this honor. I was a little concerned, as you might imagine, about the weather. So I called President Lockman and asked him about that, and the president said, "We're going to build a big tent. It's going to be beautiful. Big, huge tent. Big, strong, huge. Love, fantastic tent. Big." It really was a cheap joke, but you know, couldn't resist. I don't want to. I know you're all anxious to get on with your lives and your parties, and at least 50% of you are still hungover. So, and we are under some time constraints because we have to clear out so that the circus can perform. So that's going to be very exciting. You know, when you're sitting back there, you can't quite hear as well. So I was a little concerned because I thought the slogan, the motto, Adiamus, was translated, "Let us stare." And I saw everybody looking off in the distance, and I thought, well, that's a pretty good motto, but it's "Let us dare," so that's... You're probably wondering why or how I got here. The truth of the matter is, I'd heard of Champlain College and Lake Champlain and the beautiful scenery and everything that goes on here in Vermont. I myself, as you can see by this physique, have partaken in much of your syrup. Good syrup. But the truth is, the woman who runs my production company, Tracy Brennan, her son, Brennan Segara, is in your video game development. And I love this kid because his last name's Segara, but his mother's maiden name is Brennan. So his name is Brennan Brennan. How can you not come and speak at somebody's graduation for that? You know, a college where you can get a degree making video games and you can get an internship at Ben & Jerry's. This is a great institution. And not only that, it is preparing you as you go forward for life. Division of IT, hands up. Okay. Within 6 months, 98% of you are going to be either working or going on to higher education. If you're in the Division of Communications and Creative Media, do you know that, yeah. And you've got the best building on campus. It's great. You got the campus store, you got snacks. That's fantastic. 92% of you will be working on your master's or out in a job force. For the Still School of Business. Wow, for business people, you're very rowdy. I like that. 94% of you will be taking care of business in the next 6 months. And of course, the Division of Education and Human Studies. Make some noise. 97% of you will be educating or studying other humans in the next 6 months. I'm sure some of you were doing that last night. Look at my hands. You know, it was interesting because when I was driving in, there was a sign on the interstate for St. Albans. Well, talk about 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. I am from St. Albans, Queens, in New York City. And probably not different from where you grew up. You know, because I like to say, I really seriously mean New York City is really just a collection of small towns and villages. The city was cobbled together on small towns and villages, and as the city grew, it annexed those towns, and St. Albans was no different. My mom and dad scrimped and saved to get out of a 2-bedroom apartment in Brooklyn. They put together $100 for a down payment on a house in St. Albans, Queens, back in 1963. My dad used to say the only way my parents could make ends meet was by sleeping back to back without their pajama bottoms on. Human studies! My mom and dad, like your parents, believed in the American dream. Work hard, keep your nose clean, you too can get ahead, no matter race, color, creed, or religion. But it was hard. My dad was a talented artist, could have had a promising career as a commercial artist, but back then, it was not easy. In fact, it was just about impossible for a young black man to get into the union. So he had a wife, he had a small child, a little baby boy with a voracious appetite. And so he got a job as a New York City bus driver. In fact, we used to think of my dad as Ralph Cramden of the Honeymooners. He drove a bus in Brooklyn. We lived in an apartment. You know, he had a little bit of a temper, but was a softie at heart. And one of those things that I learned, and you will learn too, that no matter how hard you try, and this is true of your parents as well, no matter how hard you try, you will become your parent. All right? So, for better or for worse, when you see them after this, they're coming for you. Well, my dad drove a bus, first at nights, then during the day, but he had a dream. He wanted to become a dispatcher. Then he became a chief dispatcher. By the time he retired in 1995, he was the head of labor relations for the Transit Authority in New York City, in Manhattan and the Bronx. This was a man who didn't go to college. I think about what a college like this would have meant to him, an artist who could have done all sorts of things. He was a man who had to contend with racism, who got knocked down, demoted, yet persevered with his pride intact. He is my role model. He has been gone for almost 15 years, but the day doesn't go by where I don't think about him and what he meant to me. And my mother, who is no longer with us either, was just the same. And I think it's very fitting that today, the day before Mother's Day, you are giving your moms and grandmothers and aunts one of the greatest gifts possible. Please give your mothers and the women in your lives a round of applause. They sacrificed so that you can have a better life, that you could take advantage of opportunity, to see the opportunities, like these people standing on the sides who didn't get seats. You know what your opportunity is? You're going to get to your car before everybody else. Yeah! So what advice do I have for you for the class of 2017? It's not very profound, but it is something that I have come to discover. I have a 30-year-old daughter. I have a daughter who's graduating from LaGuardia School of Performing Arts in about a month, who's going on to college at USC. But it's great. They didn't have room for her on campus, so she's going to, they have this thing called the Trojan Transfer Program. My kid is going to do her freshman year at the American University of Paris. I want my kid's life. The heck? And I have a boy who's going to be a high school freshman next year. And one of the things that I think I have come to realize, and we try to bring this to them, is to be in the moment. I mean, we're in a wonderful world right now. Facebook, Instagram, Periscope, YouNow, Musical.ly, Snapchat. Here's the thing. You're adults. Nobody wants to see pictures of you looking like a cat, okay? Or a raccoon or flowers on your head. Stop it! But I want you to be in the moment. When was the last time, show of hands, be honest, and there's no judgment, you read a book, physically read a book for enjoyment? All right. This half of the room a little shaky. You want to communicate with somebody. Instead of emailing or texting, pick up the phone, hear their voice, okay? I cannot tell you how many times when we're on the Today Show Plaza and we've got concerts, I see all these young people. The young people, they're all standing there watching these concerts, but they got their phones up. And they're watching the concert through their phone. It's already on TV. Be in the moment. Stop living through your screen. Experience it now. And yes, I mean, look, I make a living on television. Television has been some of my greatest moments, you know, but I gotta tell you, as a parent, we want you to succeed. We want you to experience life. And for those of you who are, you know, for whatever reason, moving back home with your parents, remember, you've already sucked the life out of us. All right? I'm speaking as a parent who I love my children. I would do anything for them, but I am very close to a lifeless husk. All right? And so are your parents. All right? The gravy train is just about over. I remember I was in my parents' living room, and my sisters were there with their kids. I was there with my children. My father, who had worked hard for his living and was retired, looked at us and said, "You know what? I can't miss you if you don't leave." So you're about to leave this building as the graduates of the class of 2017. Make the most of it. I know you will. God bless and Godspeed.